Today we're going to talk about a very interesting subject which I have designed it and I've given various workshops and seminars with this particular topic. I call this as art of shielding. Why do we require art of shielding? What is the meaning of shielding? Because we are from a wellness background, and what is it that we are trying to do, that we are trying to bring in this wellness as a concept, and why do we require the spiritual armor? I shall come to the subject as we keep traveling. You can keep asking me questions. I shall keep answering what is needed. In this one day workshop, what we're planning to do is we will cover certain subjects. Basically, we have different layers of the body. We understand there are already have some protection. Like, I'm wearing my shirt, I have my skin as a protection for my organs. To protect my organs, I already have my bones, and quite a few physical layers are there. What are we talking about? The spiritual layers here. What is the need for having the layers, and how do they have an impact on this? So, what is the definition about? What are the different layers we know about? There are 5 layers around us. It is basically the physical, emotional, mental, and what we also talk about the energy layer, and also finally we have the blissful. That is what we call as it's also called as Anandamaya Kosha, or we also talk about happiness layer as such. And then comes the question, what is the difference between layers and what is the meaning of aura? So we will be covering a lot of a theory behind the understanding of various layers and what is the energy field of the aura. The basic difference is aura is an energy field. It can have as small as possible, as large as possible. And I shall teach you techniques, how to tighten up your aura, how to expand it in the times of requirement. Like when you're trying to give a presentation, or when you're trying to meet people, you can have it, as wide as possible, so that you are able to reach out to more people. Or when it's needed, when you feel you're vulnerable, you can also make it easier, tighter, so that you get going with your day-to-day activity, just being worried about anything happening in your environment as such. So also in this particular subject, we're going to also understand the difference between what is the meaning of empathy, what is the meaning of an empath, what is the highly sensitive person, what is the meaning of compassionate. And now you'll have a question, how does this have a relation to protection actually? When you're empath, when the basic definition of empathy is that you're feeling the pain of the person. And what is it happening? Instead of empowering the person, you're draining your energy, you are becoming, taking the pain of it, and your body is feeling that particular pain. Not just on the body, it also happening on emotionally, it is happening mentally, it's happening spiritually. It's also, going through emotional layers also. Like all the layers are getting affected when you are a highly empathetic person. And then what is the definition of a highly sensitive person? How does it have an impact on us? When you're in HSP, we talk about HSP as a person that day-to-day activities in our environment, in our surroundings, has a big impact on us. Anything that goes wrong, there's sickness all around us. So we tend to have this, sensitivity with everything that's happening. Then you'll say, is it bad to have an highly sensitive perception about it? There's nothing as bad, but it's draining your energy. And then to understand what is compassion. Compassion comes from the frequency of empowering others. You feel for them, you care for them, but at the same time, you set a boundary. It's very important that you set a boundary. So in this particular workshop, we'll also be talking about setting healthy boundaries with you and with your system that you belong to. And then what is the difference between empathetic and overly empathetic? How does it have an impact on it? And then how does overly empathetic has an impact on the lower chakras? We're talking about chakras also, like how each one layer, we talked about different layers on the outside. We talked about the aura, which is the energy field, and we're also now focusing on the chakras also, like how being compassionate or being empathetic or being overly empathetic or HSP, how does it have an impact on your chakras? That each chakra is aligned to an energy, like the lower chakra is all about money, the middle chakra is all about sensuality, that is about the sacral chakra. The third chakra is about, solar plexus, more to do with the power, willpower, courage, with respect to your work and career. So this will have an impact on these three aspects of your life. That's why it's very important that we understand uh, what is the impact about, lower three chakras. How do we scan it? I will teach you techniques, how to scan those energies during the workshop. And also I'll also be explaining to you the theory behind different categories in HSP, like, what kind of a understanding that you have in HSP, how do you define it, how do you know about it, and what is the meaning of a dependency. Like, it's more than shielding, because unless until you know this, basic elementary information, it will be difficult for you to understand what exactly is happening. So it's very important that you are able to know what exactly is needed in this. Now, understanding about codependence is a psychological impact. Then you'd be asking me questions, why do we need to know about this psychological issues as such? That's very important, because you need to set a very healthy boundary within yourself with people around you as such. So I'm also going to teach you a lot of techniques with respect to boundaries. I'm also going to cover, with respect to a drama triangle. What happens in a drama triangle? In a drama triangle, we know there are three classic positions of being a rescuer, being a victim, and being a perpetrator. So wherein there will be a lot of activities which will be based on these things, and we'll be understanding what is the current position that you have and what should be the ideal position that you should be taking it out. And also along with this, we'll also be covering a lot of about energy vampires, how people drain your energy, how, physical and non-physical also, because that there are people, who try to eye on you, envy you, feel jealous about your activities, and they try to, keep looking at draining your energies, the way you lead your life, there's a lot of draining that happens. So we'll also be understanding the difference between different types of vampires, and what is the energy vampire, is it physical and non-physical also. So we'll also be teaching you a lot of exercises, how to shield yourself from non-physical vampires. And also it'll be a lot more, it involves crystal, involves a lot of self-work, it involves a lot of visualization, there's some amount of meditation that goes around, and there'll also be a lot of, certain products that you can use it, like could be Palo Santo or a sage or crystal that you could use it out. There are visualizations, there are meditation that you can use it. There are also objects that you can use it for your own shielding, so that you are always protected in a nice and beautiful environment. So there's a lot of, it's a more experiential workshop. It's not just about theory. There's a theory, then understanding about why is it needed, what is it needed, and then how do you rate yourself, how to differentiate yourself into different categories. First, to understand where do you stand, how do you stand out, and later on, we're going to cover the aspects of what, how do you come out of it. Then comes the experience about how do you empower yourself with this particular knowledge, how do you shield yourself from these kind of an experiences, and how to stay in your own boundaries, where you're not depleting your energy, you're staying in your own space, where you can do things, whatever is aspiring you, whatever you'd like to do in your life. This is the whole subject that we're going to cover up. So it's a nice and beautiful workshop. I have already delivered quite a few of these, across different places, both in India and US. It gives a lot of understanding for people, how they've been emotionally being drained, physically being drained, mentally being drained, and spiritually being drained out, because of lack of understanding about why the shielding is required. It's not about just, taking something or applying an object with awareness. First, to understand how the draining is happening, how you are able to perceive the energy as such. So when you do this activity, then you will be able to slowly step out of it, use these practices for your day to day. You could be anything, and you could be a homemaker, you could be a career, you could be a professional, you could be an entrepreneur, you could be a consultant, you can be doing anything for that matter. So because we are always, surrounded by people, to understand the energy is very important. Like you could be driving a car, you could be traveling in the metro, or be going to a party. People are always looking at you, saying what is happening to you, how sensitive you are. Suddenly in certain parties when you go, you will see that, oh, I went to a party and then I feel very drained out. I don't know what happened. Something was not right. I did not get a right energy there. Because there are people, who are trying to suck your energy without their knowing, without their understanding. But you are lost at it. You're not able to protect yourself. You don't know what needs to be done. What tools I have to have. Should I get away from the particular program, or should I stay there? Should I get out from the party, or I'm feeling sick about it? We all have gone through these kind of experiences at different timelines of our life. We have gone through these experiences. So understanding it from this, the knowledge with the wisdom, and with empowering ourselves with all these tools, is the basic, thought that why I have designed and I have brought in this entire, art of shielding workshop, which is the 1 day workshop as such. So these are the subject that we're going to cover. Not just these, there are more activities. There are a lot of activities that I'll be doing it on that day. It's an entire day's workshop where it'll be fun. There'll be exercises. There'll be meditations. It's a blend of everything. We're understanding, learning about it, and then applying it out and seeing how do you feel the energy. Then from there, you can go back to your life, doing whatever you like to do and continue your way forward, shielding yourself as such. So I want to make this, seminar more interactive rather than trying to give you only the key markers here. Please feel free to ask me questions. You can unmute yourself, so I'm ready to answer this. I'll share all that, that I have practiced and applied this, because these are things that I've applied for my own self. It's not just, that something is taken off or just made it as a curriculum. No, it's been applied. I've seen this working for myself. I have delivered quite a few workshops on this, and now I'm ready to answer your queries, and then please feel free to ask me the questions so that I'll be able to answer. You could unmute yourself and you can ask me all the questions that you would want to ask me on this right now. Those are there on the call, please feel free to ask me questions. Andy, you have any question? Anki, you have any question? Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, this is Andy. Just a quick one. I guess this is relating to a course that's going to happen in the future and not in the next hour. Bit of a silly question.
This is a seminar, it's going to happen on 26th of this month, Andy. This is a seminar which is basically we are trying to share the inputs about the workshop that we are planning to do it on 26th of this month, 26th of February.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. You have any questions regarding to what I shared, or you would like to ask more questions about this? Please feel free to let me know. Anyone else has any questions? You could unmute. Anki. One more name that I don't know, it's been written as NetNet. You have any questions about this? You have any question that you would like to ask? Please feel free to ask me right now. I can share my inputs about this. It's a very interesting subject that we have. It's a nice understanding about what we have on that. It's a beautiful coverage. I'm going to cover a lot of things about a lot of techniques that are required, a lot of understanding about it, understanding like there are some of the glimpses from the slide where we're going to talk about different layers, understanding different layers here, and why is it needed, what is it needed, what impact does it have, when there is a energetic drain in the system as such. So we need to understand about it, and each layer, what is the purpose, and basically we'll be covering up what are the purpose of each layer, why is it needed, first layer, second layer, third layer, fourth layer, fifth layer, why does it need it, why do we need to stay clear and clean about all these things, which is more about it. So understanding from that, what is the difference between an aura and a kosha, which is basically kosha is in the layer. It's in the Sanskrit word which is talking about a layer. Aura can be a radiance of energy, which can be as close as possible, like I explained earlier, or it could be as few hundred meters also. And to understand, what are the differences between being an empath or being a highly sensitive person. A lot of theories are being given in this in the 1 day workshop as such. So if you feel connected to this, or if you want to have any more information about this workshop, please feel free to ask questions and check with us, or write to us, or send us an email or a message to us. We will be able to share all the inputs about this. So there are no questions, looks like, at this moment. I am closing the meeting at this point of time. Feel free to approach me. So I'm here at Illuminations Wellbeing Center. My name is Jana. I'm going to facilitate this workshop, which we call it as Art of Shielding, which is more about spiritual armor. Feel free to ask me questions about it, or if you would like to have more details about this, and you could book a consultation with the front office, and you could register. And it's a beautiful workshop. I know the benefits. The students have got it, the participants have got it with this beautiful one-day activity as such. Feel free to approach us so that we'll be able to share more details about this, and then we look forward to seeing you here, attending you at this particular place. Thank you. Take care. I shall see you soon about this.